How y'all doing, team up? Hard News of Murdock. Now what we have here is another case of black people trying to tell you so playing out before your very eyes. Because we've been seeing for the longest that there's obviously white supremacists in our military and police force that's supposed to watch us on a day-to-day basis. But not until after the Capitol riots did anybody choose to take this seriously. But when they seen the Confederate flag walking through the halls of Congress on that very same day, they finally realized that, hey, maybe something should be done about this. Now, it is a shame that it had to go to this extreme in order for anybody to actually do something about it and take it seriously, but I'm in the camp of better late than never. And the results of the investigation has already turned up some concrete evidence to prove that our instincts was right all along. Let me introduce you to one Timothy Hale Cusanelli, a man that was arrested in connection with the Capitol riots, and it's been found out that he is an avowed white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer. Now, I take one look at that picture and I think to myself, no Sherlock, his Adolf Hitler look that he's sporting is pretty much a dead giveaway. But if you're in that camp of people who say that, oh, maybe that's just a coincidence, the Times of Israel reports that one Navy SEALman said that Hale told him he would kill all the Jews and eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he wouldn't need to season them because the salt from their tears would make it flavorful enough. Other co-workers recall Hale making derogatory remarks about women, black people, and other minorities to add to the fire. Now, to make this story even crazier, none of this was a secret because this man had an open white supremacy presence online. You don't believe me? Take a look at this report that goes farther down the rabbit hole, and we'll discuss on the other side. Check it out.
New Jersey will recover from the coronavirus, but it will not recover from the Hasidic Jewish invasion.
Meet Timothy Hale Cusanelli of Colts Neck, New Jersey.
The normal people of New Jersey, if things aren't corrected soon, will have no choice but to keep jumping ship to other states or, sadly, open revolt against overlords with no connection to our state or our people.
According to filings with the D.C. District Court, an NCIS agent's source said he's an avowed white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer. This video and others like it were taken down when Hale Cusanelli was arrested for participating in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. At the time of arrest, he was a member of the U.S. Army Reserve and a contractor at a naval depot, where an affidavit says he had access to a variety of munitions and a security clearance at level secret.
This reality has forced the government to acknowledge that the ranks of the military and law enforcement have been infiltrated by right-wing extremists, as counterterrorism experts and watchdogs have been warning for years.
Here's President Joe Biden's new defense secretary admitting to the problem last month.
And when I think about, the issue of extremism in the ranks, and I expect for the numbers to be small. But quite frankly, they'll probably be a little bit larger than most of us would guess. But I would just say that, small numbers in this case can have an outsized impact.
These comments to journalists were made shortly after Lloyd Austin ordered a department-wide stand-down to discuss ways to expose and expel extremists.
Hale Cusanelli has a history of alleged criminal activity that's easily searchable online and regularly posted his anti-Semitic YouTube videos. Yet somehow he managed to keep his security clearance, which allowed him to retain both a job at a naval weapons depot and a job with the U.S. Army Reserve.
Federal investigators allege Hale Cusanelli encouraged the mob at the Capitol to advance past police lines. When questioned, he told an NCIS agent he was able to continue moving forward even after having been exposed to pepper spray because of his military training in overcoming various chemical irritants. He worked here as a security guard through a private military contractor called HBC Management. A representative of the company said he was terminated immediately upon his arrest, but wouldn't answer questions about why he'd been employed in the first place, given his history of anti-Semitic posts on the open internet and alleged criminal activity that's been reported in the local media. Both the Navy and the Army turned down interview requests from NewsHour Weekend, but the Army said in an email that Hale Cusanelli's leadership wasn't aware of his YouTube videos or run-ins with law enforcement prior to the current federal charges.
He's an Army reservist, active Army reservist. He's a government contractor at a naval weapons depot, and he's got a top secret security clearance. So it's something I've been concerned about as a member of the House Intelligence Committee for years, that social media is not a component of the in-depth investigation that goes on before someone gets a top secret clearance.
Yes, you heard that right. Despite asking highly intrusive questions about personal finances, behavioral health, and even neighbors, the military does not routinely check the social media accounts of people it puts in sensitive security positions. The local authorities in New Jersey also seem to have ignored several red flags in dealing with Hale Cusanelli, against whom Jewish residents had made numerous complaints in the year leading up to the attack on the Capitol.
His comments were reported to different law enforcement agencies. The prosecutor's office, he was reported to the attorney general's office. I think they dropped the ball on it.
Avi Schnall is an advocate for the Orthodox Jewish community of New Jersey, members of which Hale Cusanelli targeted in his YouTube videos and on a now-defunct Facebook group in which he posted thinly veiled threats against Jewish members.
Here's a person that has a social media account that is posting things for the world to see. His boss sees it, his supervisors see it, or they could see it. Now, of course, everyone's entitled to their own view, and there's freedom of expression, there's freedom of religion, there's freedom of speech. However, if you're espousing a certain viewpoint and you make certain threats, you're allowed to do it. You just can't work and be someone protecting our community.
Jonathan Greenblatt is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League.
In the 80s and the 90s and in the late aughts, as we saw surges in white supremacist, recruiting and activity, so we saw surges in their efforts to penetrate in the military and law enforcement. It's been a long-standing tactic. They've believed for years that there was value to joining, again, the ranks of law enforcement in order to get training, because many of them have held out this idea for some time that there was a civil war coming. Some would call it a racial holy war, a Rahowa. The alarm bells should have been ringing a long time ago.
While Austin has indeed called attention to the issue of extremists in the ranks, the military has yet to signal if it plans to change its vetting procedures for recruits and the federal contractors it increasingly relies on.
Now, make no mistake about it, this man is a very small tip of an iceberg that America is about to uncover as it does more investigations like this throughout the country. And I'm still in the camp of better late than never, because the reason why it took so long is because this man is normal to some people in communities across America. And they think to themselves, oh, that's just crazy Tim running his mouth. And they don't never perceive him as the threat that he is to not just them, but to everybody in this country. But when people like this get in positions of power, they become a more dangerous threat than it could ever be imagined. And with that being said, that's all I have. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. Remember, the revolution is unclassified. Later.